Hello, boys and girls, and welcome back to episode 23? No, 24. I believe this is episode 24. Pretty sure this is completely wrong. We'll see. I don't know. I could be completely lying what episode number this is. It's been a while. I think it's been, 2 weeks? Sorry I didn't get an episode out to you guys last week. I was working last week, and it was night shift, and so it was just like, there's just no way I'm doing a fucking episode. But I ended up having a 3-day weekend this past weekend, so yeah, I decided to do another episode. So gonna continue doing that. If I'm working on a weekend, or if I'm working a night shift on a weekend, I'm probably not gonna be uploading. But if I'm not, I'm definitely gonna be uploading an episode. So we got a decently packed episode for you today. We got 2 films that are recently checked out. Both of them 2020 releases. One really just came out, and another one was kind of earlier this year. I think maybe January, February time. And then another recent television show, HBO miniseries, and another 5 of my top 100, and a couple a little bit smaller topics, random shit that I'll be updating you guys at the end of this episode for like future episodes and what else is going on, whatever. But anyway, so yeah, how are you guys doing? How are you guys and gals doing? If any gals watch this, how you doing? Any guys watching, how you doing, or whatever you like to call yourself? I mean, it's 2020, man. You are what you want to be, man. I'm totally cool with that. And so 2020 still sucks. It's still kind of shit. I'm pretty sure the COVID cases are rising again. I'm pretty sure they're not as bad in Pennsylvania, though. I don't know. There's a lot of shit going around. There's a lot of lies. There's a lot of random data. It's just so complicated now. It's all politicized now, and it's all just so fucking ridiculous. I'm drinking whiskey just to cope with the year. So yeah, if you're like my one friend who watches or listens, shout out to you, Sam. I'm drinking whiskey this episode, so maybe this will be a good episode for you. But anyway, so yeah, shit's been kind of hectic for me. I'm working a lot, long hours. I worked really long hours this week. That's the only reason why I have a 3-day weekend. I took Friday off because I was at 42 hours already after Thursday. So it was like, do I really need to come in tomorrow? Not really, kind of overstaffed, or really wouldn't be doing anything. So I was like, let me just fucking stay home, And I kind of appreciate it. It's pretty fucking nice. I mean, overtime's great and all. Overtime's the shit, but like sleeping is also the shit. So, and free time is also the shit. And I really wanted to do one of these, and I felt like if I would have worked, I would have lost motivation to do one of these. And it's just, I want to keep doing this because I really like doing this. And I like, giving my thoughts out on shit that I love. So without further ado, I'm just going to get right into it. Let's get, it's not really getting right into it. It's 3.5 minutes, and I've been just bullshitting this entire time. But, so, first film we're talking about Gavin O'Connor release. It's called The Way Back. It stars Ben Affleck. Al Madrigal's in it too, randomly, which is kind of funny. And it's directed by Gavin O'Connor. If you don't know who Gavin O'Connor is, he directed Warrior and The Accountant before. Those are the only 2 films that I've seen from him. I think he's a really talented filmmaker, so I was really excited for this film to check it out. I was pretty late on the release. It came out March 6th. So yeah, I was really excited to see this because it looked really good. Plus, it's a sports film, and I have a soft spot for sports films. I'm pretty sure there's been a decent amount of sports films in my top 100. I know Remember the Titans is in there, Rudy's in there, Sandlot's in there, spoiler alert, and it's just a little bit higher. Hoosiers is also really great. So yeah, sports films are great. I love Friday Night Lights, the show, and even the movie. So yeah, sports films, have a soft spot for me. Miracle as well. I keep thinking of them, but so this one should be an easy movie to review, right? Like this should be an easy one, like an easy movie magic, right? Not really. I'm not saying that this film doesn't have the movie magic, or it isn't an easy movie for me to review, but it's a little bit more complicated than that. I'm kind of doing something a little bit interesting with this one. Because I usually in my notes, I usually have whether or not the film has the movie magic or not, like right at the end, like of my section of notes that I'm talking about, the said film that I'm talking about. But I don't have it for this one, so I'm just gonna go through. And you know what? No, I'm not even gonna lie to you. I have it. Sort of thoughts on whether this film has a movie magic or not in my notes. So I'm just blatantly lying to you. I'm just spreading fake news on this podcast. So unsubscribe now because I'm a liar. I just lied. But doesn't fucking matter because I'm gonna still review this goddamn fucking movie. Now I'm swearing too much. It's still whiskey talking. I swear to God, every time I drink whiskey, I start swearing like a sailor. Every time. I mean, it doesn't help that, I work in construction and worked in maintenance before that. That doesn't help. And, being in college doesn't help either because there's just fucks and shits thrown around like it's candy or some shit. See, there I go again. But anyway, back to the movie. The Way Back. All right. So if you aren't familiar with the film, it's about Ben Affleck's character. His name's Jack Cunningham, and he used to be this really big high school basketball star at this like religious, I believe it's a Catholic school, Catholic private school. And he used to be this big basketball star, and he used to be really highly recruited, but he never really played basketball for his own sake. It's another reason. So he ended up just kind of giving basketball up after his high school career. He never went to college, never did anything with it. So he's kind of down on his luck. There some other stuff that happened in his past that, it gets him down, and he's an alcoholic. And that's kind of this main theme of overcoming alcoholism in this show, and not this show, this film. And his old school, asks him to become the next basketball coach for their school because they suck. They're really bad. I don't think they've won a game yet in that year. So they ask him to coach, to come back and coach since he's a legendary player. They have his jersey hanging on the wall in the arena or, the basketball court in the gym. So yeah, it's kind of like your redemption story. It's it's a basketball movie. It's it's a similar type of like it's a pretty easy formula to crack. You have a bad team, you get a new coach, and then you get good again. And that's kind of what this film follows for the most part. And honestly, I kind of wish they would have just completely followed that formula, but like again, you don't want to completely dive into the cliche, but we'll get into that a little bit later. Now this film, the elements, the new types of twists that they introduce into this classic sports movie genre is very interesting. They add a couple of new elements, darker elements. It's a darker setting. Like, you can even see, like, the tone. It's almost like, I'm not going to say Fincher, but it just kind of has this kind of, I don't know, grainy, dark tint to it, all the shots. Plus, it's not really a sports movie. It's more of a movie about overcoming alcoholism, really, because our main character, Ben Affleck's character, Jack Cunningham, is an alcoholic, and he's a functional alcoholic, but it also like takes over his life, and he lets it rule his life. Anything bad that happens, he's drinking. That's just how he deals with his issues, and that's not a healthy way to deal with your issues, obviously, like you see in this movie, as I'm drinking whiskey at fucking 1:30. Maybe I'm an alcoholic. Maybe. It's probably, though. Not really. I got some whiskey here. I'm just shamelessly plugging local distillery on my way home from work. They're really great. If you live in the Pittsburgh area, I definitely suggest stopping. I think they're on the Mount Nebo exit, if that makes any sense. McLaughlin Distillery, they're really great. And that's a promotionless, promotion. That's not a sponsorship. Like, that is, I just really like, their shit. But anyway, moving on. Yeah, alcoholism, that's what the film is really about. and the story, like, sort of at the maybe after the first 2/3, kind of sort of the mid, but like middle end, like something happens in the film, and it's like this real weird twist that like you really weren't expecting, and you're like, oh, okay, interesting. I don't know if it really helps the film or not. It's kind of what held the film back for me a little bit. Like, they focus on Ben's story, Ben Affleck's character's Jack Cunningham's story. Like, I mean, obviously they focus on him because he's clearly the main actor of the film, and it's fucking Ben Affleck. I get that, but like, I just wish they kind of focused on the team a little bit more and the kids. They kind of do it a little bit with the star of the team, but nothing really comes of it, really. Like, you don't see him, like, get recruited or, I don't know, sort of progress. I don't know. It's just something about it. The film just leaves you wanting more. Like, they kind of, it seemed like the whole film, especially the ending, just felt really anticlimactic to me. Mainly because of that main, like, story narrative shift that happens towards the end, sort of the end. And it just kind of, like, I get it, this is a film about alcoholism and it's about Ben Affleck's character. It's not really about the team, but I feel like they could have used the team more on helping him get over his stuff. I mean, it's just kind of, I really wanted to see more about the team and the basketball rather than Ben just drinking and dealing with his family stuff. Because it's like, I mean, again, that's kind of a harsh thing to say because his family stuff is supposed to be the interesting parts and the different parts of this story, because you don't want to fall into a cliche. But I think that's not really a terrible thing to fall into a cliche, as long as you do the cliche right. We'll talk about that with the next film that I'm going to be talking about. But, like, if you do the cliche right, it's a good movie. It's a fun movie. It'll age well. But, like, now, like, you try to do something a little bit different and darker, you kind of, I don't know, you just kind of isolate your audience a little bit, and it just makes the film anticlimactic. There's really not an adversary in the film other than alcoholism with Ben's character. Like, there's no other coach. Like, there's a small beef with another coach because he's kind of an asshole, I guess. But, like, there's not really another team or, like, some adversity within the team, really. Like, it's just kind of, I don't know. I feel like I'm shitting on this film a lot, but it's really not bad. It's a good film. It's well made. It's incredibly well acted. Ben Affleck gives a great performance. You clearly see that he cares about this role. All the actors bring in. I think all the kids do a really great job on the team. They're all really good. The basketball scenes are interesting enough. It's filmed in an interesting way. Aesthetically, it's a good movie. Like, technically, it's a good film. I just think the narrative choices that they make really hold the film back for me, and they make it really anticlimactic. And I think a film like this really needs to stick the landing to really, hook me in and say that this is a really great film. So it is what it is. I think, it's not really, it's kind of cliche, but, like, kind of not at the end. Like, it follows this cliche path, and then the thing happens, and you're like, oh, okay, well, all right. I mean, I just felt like when the ending happened, you're just kind of like, okay, cool. I feel like, again, this kind of fits in the same. If you've followed my channel a bit, I reviewed a film called Big Time Adolescence. I think early on, a couple episodes ago. And I think it was like my first film that I didn't give the movie magic to. And that film is not bad. It's just I didn't feel a personal connection with it. So it really wasn't overall very memorable, and I never really want to watch it. I'll never watch it again. And it's kind of similar how I feel about this one. Like, again, if you know people who probably suffer from alcoholism, I feel like this film is a lot more personal to you and probably will connect with you a lot more. That's why I don't think this film is bad. I just don't think you really needed, like, to put it in the sports film genre of, movies. I don't know. I just don't think you really needed a basketball movie to make a film about overcoming alcoholism interesting. And I think just, I don't know. I think having the film be a little bit more cliche would have made the film a little bit more better and a little bit more enjoyable. But, it is what it is. Like, it's just comparing this film with Gavin O'Connor's other two films, Warrior and The Accountant. I mean, Warrior is in my top 100 films of all time. I've revealed it already, I believe. I forget what number it is. It is 61, I believe. I'm looking at my list. I can't really read that far. I have glasses. I'm pretty much blind. But, and The Accountant is also a smaller film that a lot of people kind of didn't like, but I really liked that movie. I loved The Accountant. If you haven't seen The Accountant, check that film out. It's really great. And if you haven't watched Warrior, watch Warrior 2. Both of those films are phenomenal. And I think this film really pales into comparison with those two. But, still a good film. Again, if you know people or if you've overcome addiction and alcoholism, it's just probably a lot more personal for you, and you probably would enjoy this a lot more than I did. But I didn't really have a personal connection here, and I felt like the film was a little bit anticlimactic at the end, so it didn't really do it that much for me. Kind of like Big Time Adolescence, and like Big Time Adolescence, I didn't give that film the movie magic, and I think it's the same here. I don't really think this film really has the movie magic, but I really wouldn't have that deter you from the film. Just because a film doesn't have the movie magic doesn't mean it's not a decent film and wouldn't connect with other people. I mean, obviously, films that are worse than that don't have the movie magic, but just because, the movie magic is reserved for, I think, really cool, like really awesome experiences that I will revisit again. That's kind of a good gauge on whether a film has the movie magic or not. Do I see myself watching this film again? If I say yes, then it probably has the movie magic. Most definitely does have the movie magic. If like this film, after I watch it, I'll be like, I'm probably never going to watch that film again. No, it doesn't have the movie magic. Obviously, that's not universal. I mean, a film like 12 Years a Slave or Schindler's List or Requiem for a Dream clearly have the movie magic. But, like, I'm never going to watch those again because those are incredibly hard movies to watch. But, again, it's a vague rating, but I think it's better for me than just doing like, it's this movie gets a 6 out of 10 or a B+ or whatever the fuck, It's so subjective. Things are so subjective. Films are art. Art is subjective. It's how it affects every person individually. That's what makes films and art like TV and video games, comic books so awesome, is because everything's so subjective, and it's whatever connection you have with it is awesome. So, and I think The Way Back is one of those films that, depends on the person who watches it. So, yeah. The Way Back, definitely, check it out. If, watch the trailer, and if that intrigues you, definitely check it out. But, if you watch the trailer and be like, then I'll probably pass on it, All right, so... Yeah, sorry about I have the fan on. If you can hear that, I'm probably gonna try to edit the recording of this episode and try to reduce that noise, because I can do that in Audacity where I record my podcast episodes. But it's just so hot in my room, even with the air conditioning on. Just the apartment, the way the apartment's designed, the floor plan, like the air circulation from my air conditioner does not circulate back into my room, so I borrowed a fan from my mom, and I just have it on just to help circulate some air, or I would just be sweating bullets. It would be disgusting. You wouldn't want to watch it. It would be like, I can't watch this sweaty fat kid talk about movies for an hour. I just can't do it. But if you're listening, that doesn't really matter. I think you're just gonna be like, what the fuck is that noise in the background? I'm sorry. but it's just kind of what I have to do so I don't suffocate in my own room. So thank you for listening, though. I guess that gives me a good chance to kind of plug my channel. If you're just listening, know that this is a YouTube channel as well. If you just search up Nerd Out Sanctuary on YouTube, I'll come up. I appreciate you subscribing. If you're just new to my channel, if you're just new to listening, I clip my episodes up on YouTube, kind of like all the big podcasts do, just like have small clips so you don't have to, go back and watch every single full episode. There's certain clips that you can do, or, you don't have to go back and listen to every single episode that I've done in my backlog. So it's there. I'd appreciate you liking my videos, subscribing. It's a huge help. I think it would be fucking awesome. I love all you guys who watch my videos and like and comment as well. Comment on the videos, man. I'll respond. I mean, again, I'm working now, so you might have to wait a little bit more. But yeah, I would definitely check out some of my videos. I think they're pretty good. And if you're watching on YouTube, know that this is also just an audio podcast, so you can listen to me on iTunes, Spotify, and Google Play. Listen to me in your car, taking a shit, reading, doing the dishes, cleaning around the house, working, when you should be working, when you're actually just listening to a podcast. I've done that before. Ooh, shouldn't have admitted that, but yeah, whatever. No one's listening. But, yeah, so... yeah, definitely check me out. I appreciate all the love. Give me a review on iTunes. That would be awesome as well. But yeah. Moving on. Where are we on time here? Okay, like 20 minutes. It's okay. There's an hour and a half episode. Fuck it. And it's more content for you guys. Fuck you. Just fucking listen to my episode in full. All right? Just do it. Do it! And anyway, okay. Move on, Michael. Jesus Christ. Stay on target. But, yeah, so we're talking about another release this year in 2020. More recent than the way back. This one came out, I think, a couple weeks ago, actually. June 12th. Yeah, a couple weeks ago. And we're talking about The King of Staten Island. So... This film is about a sort of biography on Pete Davidson's life. If you don't know who Pete Davidson is, he's on Saturday Night Live. He's a pretty famous comedian. He's in that Big Time Adolescence movie that I thought Big Time Adolescence was pretty much going to be like this movie. So this film is what I wanted Big Time Adolescence to be. So that kind of gives you a little bit of a spoiler for my rating. But yeah, so I was anticipating this one for a while. It's about just a guy named Scott, lives with his mom, and his father, died when he was a young boy, and he was a fireman. And pretty much what Pete Davidson, was. His own father died when he was 7. He was a fireman who died on 9/11. So yeah, that's... So it's pretty much, I saw an interview with Pete, and he said this is pretty much 75% my life, and the other 25% is just, movie. But he also says, like, if I didn't find comedy, this is pretty much what my life would be. So just living at home and, doing, like, hanging out with the boys, smoking weed, and doing stupid shit, basically. So, and then that's pretty much what this film's about. It's about, Pete Davidson's character, Scott, developing. And, yeah, so this film, it's a comedy and also a drama. It's, those dramedies. It's also directed and written by Judd Apatow. It's also written by Pete Davidson as well, as also a guy named Dave Cyrus. Don't know who that is, but Judd Apatow is kind of known for these, dramedies or more comedy, as well. He's a big comedy writer and director. Really talented guy, and I think Pete Davidson's a really talented comedian. So, yeah, again, this is a little bit more of a personal story. This is a personal story to Pete, but also kind of a personal story for me as well. It's pretty much almost a big reason why I love Pete Davidson is because I know what it's like to lose your father, unexpectedly and as a young kid. I mean, I lost mine when I was 14. He lost his when I was 7, so it's a little bit different. But yeah. So I mean, again, plus I think Pete's hilarious. I think he's a really great comedian. He's a talented comedian, and I really like him. But yeah, so I was really, you can see why I was really anticipating this one, because it's like, based off of his life. Yeah. So it kind of set the expectations high for this one. And, that's not always a good thing to do. But I think this film pretty much met those expectations in the most part. So let's just get into why, what I think this film really does right. I love the way the film opens and closes, both with Kid Cudi tracks. I think it's so perfect, mainly because Cudi is one of my favorite hip hop artists ever, but also he was a very big pioneer in, kind of promoting and talking about mental health in, rap music. He was kind of those pioneers. It's pretty much birthed an entire wave of sad rap music. So yeah, both tracks are amazing at the very beginning. They're playing Just What I Am, which is a perfect track about kind of like accepting who you are and your self-destructive tendencies, and that's pretty much what, was going on with Scott's, Pete Davidson's character in the beginning of this film. And at the very end, it ends with Kid Cudi's Pursuit of Happiness, which is just, again, a perfect send off to the film, and a perfect, like, it encapsulates what, Pete's character, transformed into, at the end of the film, which I thought was, it's just a perfect fucking way to end the movie. Two amazing Cudi tracks. Highly recommend listening to Kid Cudi if you haven't. I mean, I'm sure you've heard of him, because, he's a pretty big rap artist, but highly recommend it. Checking him out. But I think also the film just blends elements of drama and comedy perfectly well. I mean, these types of comedies definitely appeal to me a lot more than just straight up slapstick comedies. I mean, I love Ace Ventura, I love Monty Python, but like Paul Blart Mall Cop and like Grown Ups, not really. I kind of hate those. But I mean, again, I'm a huge fan of the dramedy genre, like your 50/50s, your 500 Days of Summer, and that's more of like a romantic comedy or anything. But in like this one, King of Staten Island, it's drama, it deals with, heavy emotional topics, also with it being fucking hilarious. And some of the laughs here, I was dying. I thought it was really funny. And again, also moments where you're like, oh man, that's really, sorry, I'm burping. Some really touching moments as well. This is Pete Davidson's best performance for sure in a film, and I know he doesn't have too many acting performances in film, but this is clearly his best one. I mean, obviously it should be. It's his most personal one. You can definitely tell it's very personal, and but like he's also still Pete Davidson. He's also still really funny. He's the funniest part about it, and he's also the most, emotional part about it as well. So definitely gives the best performance. Bill Burr has an incredible performance as Pete Davidson's character's mother's new boyfriend. Bill Burr is spectacular in this one. He's hilarious. He's great. I love Bill Burr in this movie. It was a really impressive performance. I know Bill Burr acts, from Breaking Bad, and he was in The Mandalorian, which was kind of weird. But yeah, this one was really great. I think this one was probably his best performance in a film as well. He did a really phenomenal job. And he was perfectly cast as Pete Davidson's mom's boyfriend. Marissa Tomei actually plays Pete Davidson's mom, and she does a fucking phenomenal job as well. All the acting really is great. All the performances, are phenomenal. His friends, his like romantic interest, his sister, Judd Apatow's daughter, she does a really great job. Steve Buscemi has like a little bit of a small role. He's great. I love seeing Steve Buscemi. I'm a huge fan of him. And also, he was actually a firefighter before he was an actor too, which was a really cool fact that I found out about this film. Yeah, I just think the theme throughout the film of tackling your past and kind of confronting it head on, and how that helps you develop as a person was really great to see. And I thought that was a really awesome thing. I mean, like, just like confronting, like, your father's death and knowing more stuff about your father, and not just the good stuff, but some of the bad stuff as well, and just really knowing who he was as a person was really cool to see. Just helps you, move on and develop as a person, which I thought was really great. And just I feel like just how the film tackles how Pete deals with confronting his past was really great, and like how that affects him as a person, how he becomes a better person, and just have like seeing that personal growth through the film was just really touching to me, because that's just kind of how I feel like I've done with my life. And I thought that was really cool, and it was really inspiration to see someone like me do that as well. I thought that was really cool. But again, that personal element probably makes me a little bit biased to this film. So, I mean, the film, again, has some flaws. I mean, Pete's character is pretty fucking unlikable at the very beginning, and that can turn off some people, and like, this fucking dickhead, and fuck this guy. Also, it's kind of hard to connect with him at the very beginning, but I mean, again, if you just stick with the film, you understand why he's a fucking dickhead. And how he develops as a person, which is really cool to see. I mean, seeing character development is just a primary reason what keeps people invested. And the film understands that. The film again also is pretty long. It clocks in at 2 hours and 16 minutes. I was fine with it. Movie length doesn't really bother me too much. And if I'm invested and I'm interested, doesn't bother me. Like, I love Blade Runner 2049. That thing almost clocks in at 3 fucking hours. But again, The Irishman, I would argue, is a little fucking too fucking long. But so this one, like, I could see maybe 10 minutes probably cut off, 10, 15 minutes cut out. But I mean, again, that may bother some, didn't bother me at all, really. But again, the length is there, it might bother some. And also the film is a bit cliche, having the personal growth and developing to something nice. But I mean, again, like I said with The Way Back, just because it's cliche doesn't mean it's bad, as long as it does the cliche well. And I think The King of Staten Island does the cliche really well. So I believe this film was really great. And so does it have the movie magic though? Does it got the movie magic, Mikey's movie magic? I didn't do that for The Way Back because it doesn't have the movie magic, but this one clearly does. I mean, by the way I'm talking about it. Again, the length issues, maybe not connecting personally with the character might hold the film back for you. I mean, my personal experience in life definitely helps me enjoy this film probably a little bit more than other people would. But that's kind of what I was talking about, Big Time Adolescence and The Way Back. Like, if you don't have that personal connection with the film, maybe your opinion of the film goes down a little bit. Kind of for here, this film might be kind of like those for other people if you don't have that personal connection. But I still think this film is a lot better structured and well made than those two films, in my opinion. So I still think this one's better than those. That's why I'm giving it. It definitely has the movie magic for me. So yeah, if you're a fan of Pete Davidson, definitely check this one out. If you're a fan of Judd Apatow's films, check this one out. If you like dramedies, check it out. It's definitely really good. If you like humbling stories about people developing and confronting their past and their family issues, definitely check this one out. It's a really great story. I really liked it a lot. Plus, it's funny. Who doesn't like laughing? So, yeah, King of Staten Island, check it out. Alrighty then. Let's move on to an HBO miniseries called I Know This Much Is True. So, I kind of watched this one week to week when it was coming out, because I bum Hulu off of my one friend. Again, thanks again, Chewy. And he has the HBO package attached to it, and this isn't on HBO, so that's a thing to kind of go into there. But if you haven't heard about this one, it's about a middle-aged man. His name's Dominic Birdsey, and he basically recounts his troubled relationship with his brother Thomas, who's a paranoid schizophrenic. And he's also a twin brother, and also kind of deals with family and just other deep-rooted, dark family issues with it as well. So that's kind of where we are. That's what you need to know. If you watch the trailer as well, it definitely probably gets you a little bit more insight than what I just told you about the show. But it stars Mark Ruffalo. There's other familiar faces in there as well. Marissa Leo, Rosie O'Donnell's in it. She actually gives a decent performance. A small one, but she's good. But the big thing here is that this show is written and directed by a man named Derek Cianfrance. And if you don't know who Derek Cianfrance is, he is the director and writer of Blue Valentine, with a film with Ryan Gosling and I forget the other actress's name. But yeah, Blue Valentine is his biggest film, and also a film called The Place Beyond the Pines, which also stars Ryan Gosling, Bradley Cooper. I think Ray Liotta is in it as well. Both films are really good. Blue Valentine's probably one of the harder movies to watch. It's kind of like that Requiem type of a Dream, Schindler's List type of genre, where it's like one time viewing is kind of enough, but the film is really great. It's just really depressing. It's honestly a realistic look on what a love story actually is, and it's incredibly it's bleak, and it's depressing. It's a hard movie to watch, especially at the end. The Place Beyond the Pines is another really good emotional experience that I thought was really great. Also kind of depressing at parts, but has more of a hopeful ending. And I think that's kind of what this TV show, this miniseries, kind of resembles a little bit. So Derek Cianfrance is kind of known for this like really deep, emotional, dark, like heavy style of entertainment with Blue Valentine and Place Beyond the Pines, and now with this, I Know This Much Is True. But this also stars Mark Ruffalo, who I believe is one of the most more underrated actors in Hollywood. I think he's low-key probably one of the greatest actors ever. I think he's low-key probably one of the best actors working today, and this just proves it. I mean, he plays both roles of Dominic and his twin brother, Thomas, which it's incredibly impressive what he does, and they both look different. They both look very different. Obviously, they're twins, so they don't look completely different, but I mean, he plays two fucking characters and they're completely different people. And, like, if he doesn't win some type of an award for this show, like, what the fuck? I'll just throw all the awards at him. Just give him all the fucking awards possible, because he gives one of his greatest performances, and I probably believe probably the best performance so far this year out of TV and movies that I've seen this year so far. Now, everyone else is also really good in the show. I mean, they don't really kind of bring it up to Mark's level, but everyone else is really good. Like, I mean, again, like I said, Rosie O'Donnell gives a surprisingly good performance. Again, Marissa Leo is really good with her really small role that she's in. Yeah, everyone's good. But yeah, Mark Ruffalo is the star of the show here. And I just think Derek Cianfrance, the guy responsible for this miniseries, he just does a phenomenal job of getting these incredible performances and emotional, like heavy performances out of his actors. I mean, he gets it from Ryan, both in Blue Valentine and The Place Beyond the Pines. Like, Place Beyond the Pines was the first film that you see, like, Bradley Cooper, you're like, oh shit, this guy's a really good actor. That's the Place Beyond the Pines is the first time you see it. I'm pretty sure Place Beyond the Pines is pretty much what Bradley Cooper was in after the whole Hangover stuff, I believe. Like where he was mainly a comedy actor, and then he was in that, and you're like, oh shit, this guy's got some dramatic chops, holy shit. And Cianfrance is kind of responsible for that. Now, you see him in American Sniper and other films, American Hustle as well, other films that are more dramatic. Silver Linings Playbook. So, yeah, it kind of really helped Bradley Cooper's career. And I think he just does this amazing job with directing. And just again, he does it with all the actors. He makes them their characters, and he just gives these real performances out of his actors. I mean, again, I always like to bring up the whole Oscar Beatty monologue speech, with these entertainment, these long ass monologues, and it's just like people don't talk like that usually. I mean, sometimes they do, but because they think they're in a movie. But most people, don't, and that's kind of how I describe Derek Cianfrance's films and his miniseries here. Now, I just this show, you have to really know, I mean, this show's 6 episodes. Each episode's, I think, around an hour long, maybe a little bit longer than an hour, like hour 10 minutes. But this show is definitely one of those shows that, like Blue Valentine and Place Beyond the Pines, it's like, I think it's as good just to watch once, but it's really good to watch. These episodes are incredibly heavy. A lot of this shit is really dark. It's really depressing. I remember watching this show and being like, I really hope this show ends well and with a good, hopeful ending, and a good, not a feel-good ending, but an ending that is fitting and, makes me learn something I can take away from it, and not just be all dark and depressing like the majority of the show episodes end with. Just these really fucked up family shit that is oh my god, you need a week recovery from watching one of these episodes. Honestly, you can't binge this. Don't binge this show unless you want to fucking ruin your entire month, basically. Just watching one episode is it's enough. You need a whole week to recover from it. So that's how I watched it, and that's pretty much how I kind of would recommend watching this one, because I do recommend watching this one, because the ending, I wanted it to be, was amazing. Just the themes of the show. I mean, it's in the title of the show. It just kind of blew me away. The ending and how true it was. How, love comes from forgiveness, and how, you can't renovate something without destroying it. I think it's really cool. Maybe that's why a lot of people, succumb to self-destructive tendencies. Maybe, I don't know if there's something there, but the ending just makes this really long, dark, emotionally heavy journey worth it, and really important to experience, I believe. I mean, a lot of this shit that, the shit at the end that Dominic, the main character, discovers is the same discoveries that I've made in my life. And I thought that was really cool, and it's a really important message to really have people learn, because holding grudges doesn't really help anyone. It doesn't help yourself. Clearly doesn't help the others that you have grudges against, and it's very just not productive, and it's a fucking shitty way to live your life. So, and I think that's why this show was really great. I mean, I'm never gonna watch it again, because it's kind of, it's in that genre of 12 Years a Slave, Schindler's List, where it's so heavy that it's just yo, dude, I can't watch this again. I can't go through this again. But I'm glad I went through it. That's kind of what makes this really special. It's a special show. And it's worth it just for Mark Ruffalo's performance in general, I think. But it's definitely worth it for a lot more reasons as well. So I would definitely recommend this one, especially if you've, had some personal demons that you had to deal with, especially with family. I would definitely check this one out. I think it would be a valuable experience for you. And I get it. It's depressing, and really hard to watch at times, but get through it and get to the end, I don't think you'll regret it. So yeah, I know this much is true. I know this much is true, that you'll enjoy and you'll understand what, the point of watching this is at the very end. So yeah, check. I know this much is true. On HBO. I don't think it really should be missed, especially. It was really good. It was really great. And I think Derek definitely hit it out of the park with that one. So, moving on to something a little bit more happier. Geez, three kind of depressing stories, but also, uplifting at the same time. Take a swig of whiskey just to recover. Where are we on time? 45 minutes. Okay, well, this might be a little bit long here. So, let's get into another 5 of my top 100. So, if you're unfamiliar with this type of segment of my show, I made a top 100 list of my favorite movies of all time. Now, just a couple quick disclaimers before I get into it. This is going to be number 50 through 46 of my 100. All the movies in this list have the movie magic. Obviously, I love all of these movies, and I would recommend all of them to anyone pretty much. Maybe not everyone, but all these movies I love, so they have Mikey's movie magic, obviously. And all these movies that are run down in this list, I'm not going to get an in-depth review on each. Just going to say a couple of things that I like about it and why it's in my list, really. And also, this is just my opinion. Don't take this for just face value. Like, this is objective fact that these is the 100 best films of all time, because they're not. They're just my 100 top favorite films of all time. And now also know that this film changes. This list changes over the years. I mean, it hasn't changed much recently, but like, I watch a new movie, I see a new movie that comes out, and I give it some time, and then I watch it again, and then I watch it again. I'm like, oh, this is probably one of my favorite movies of all time. Some of these movies are pretty recent. I mean, again, I'm also 24, so I haven't watched an insane amount of classic movies, but I actually have one in my number 50 spot, and pretty much all of these are some classics. So without further ado, let's just get into it. So with number 50, we have 12 Angry Men, my first black and white film on here. And it's probably my favorite black and white film. I think 12 Angry Men is such a great film, and I think it's still a really relevant and great story today about, agreement and disagreement and working out your differences and just finding common ground and what's the morally right thing to do. And just it's one of the first films, I believe, that's filmed in just one single isolated location. 12 men, part of a jury, go into the back room and decide the fate of this boy who may or may not have killed someone. So yeah, does he deserve the death penalty or not? And everyone pretty much, says yes, other than one person. And then he slowly convinces the entire room that he shouldn't put this boy to death. So it still holds up. I highly recommend watching it. It's one of the greatest films ever. 12 Angry Men is such a great film. Check it out. It's amazing. I couldn't recommend it enough. So, yeah. Now, moving on to number 49 here. Number 49, we have Steven Spielberg's Catch Me If You Can. One of my favorite Leonardo DiCaprio performances, for sure. Tom Hanks is in it. Christopher Walken's in it as well, like in the very beginning. Such an underrated Spielberg film. I think this is one of Spielberg's best films, and I don't think a lot of people know about this one. This film is so good. It's so good. It has a 96% on Rotten Tomatoes, the tomato meter. It has an 89 audience score. Okay, whatever. I would agree with the 96% because it's fucking amazing. This one is great. Especially if you like Leonardo DiCaprio, definitely watch this one. If you like Tom Hanks, definitely watch this one. It's so good. It's such a fun film. I think the intro is also just so cool. I think the music's great. It's such a great film. Definitely check this one out. I'm not gonna talk about like what it's about because just watch it because it's great. Catch Me If You Can's amazing, and it's directed by Steven Spielberg, stars Leonardo DiCaprio and Tom Hanks. Like, what more do you need to know? Like, come on, honestly. So, moving on to number 48, another classic, Daniel Day-Lewis, There Will Be Blood. I think this is what Paul Thomas Anderson film. Another classic. I think this is Daniel Day-Lewis's probably best performance, or at least it's my favorite Daniel Day-Lewis performance. The whole like sort of an anti-hero story, the oil mogul, right? That's kind of how you oil pioneer, whatever, the same fucking thing. But anyway, There Will Be Blood is a great story. It's a dark one and has one of the best endings to a film ever. It's just a really great film. It's classic. You watch it for the performance, I believe, and Daniel Day-Lewis is he's just so good in this movie as Daniel Plainview. He's just so good. Paul Dano as well gives one of the best performances he's ever had. He's amazing in this one. Definitely check this one out. Paul Thomas Anderson is a really phenomenal director, and again, one of those directors who gets amazing performances out of his actors, and Daniel Day-Lewis is universally known as one of the greatest actors to ever live. And this is probably his best performance, so check this one out. Number 48, There Will Be Blood. So moving on to number 47, and we got Ridley Scott's Gladiator, starring Russell Crowe, Joaquin Phoenix, one of the best villain performances ever as Commodus. Gladiator is one of my favorite films of all time. Now, obviously, it's kind of known that this film is highly historically inaccurate. This is not historically accurate at all. I'm pretty sure Commodus was actually kind of a hero to Rome, I believe. I'm not a historian or everything, but you can check me on that. But still phenomenal. That's probably why the tomato meter is decently lower than I expected. It's a 77%, but the audience score is 87 because who gives a fuck about historical accuracy with a film like this, to be truthfully honest? I mean, it's just it's epic. That's the best word to describe this one. It's an epic. That's the genre. You gotta honor him. Honor him. Russell Crowe is amazing, probably his best performance. My name is Maximus Decimus Meridius, father to a murdered son, husband to a murdered wife, and I will have my vengeance in this life or the next. Gladiator is amazing, and I don't really need to say anything else about it because it's one of Ridley Scott's best films. I mean, it's not his best film, but it's one of his best films. Ridley Scott's one of the legendary director and definitely a visionary, and this one's no different. It's just epic. It's epically filmed as well. All the gladiator scenes are just so good. They're so cool. Fight scenes are epic. The ending is amazing. The music is phenomenal. I listen to that score regularly. So if that tickles your pickle, definitely check Gladiator out. So anyway, moving on to number 46. We have another 80s classic. John Hughes 80s film classic. We have Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Matthew Broderick, absolute magic. Fun fact, John Hughes, I believe, wrote this film in a week, which is kind of crazy. But it's just a classic skip school 80s film. The music's amazing, the performances. Matthew Broderick is amazing, iconic performance. Why are you still here? Go, leave. Oh man, so good. I love Ferris Bueller's Day Off. It's just a classic. It has a 61 Metascore. Come on, Metacritic, get the fuck out of here. Ferris Bueller's Day Off is the shit. 1986 summer movie. I mean, who I mean, how can you go to school on a day like this? I mean, I look outside right now and it's fucking gonna be storming soon, but Ferris Bueller's Day Off is one of the greatest. I think it's John Hughes' best, almost pretty much one of his best at least. One of the greatest 80s films ever. Ferris Bueller's Day Off is just classics, hilarious, memorable, just memorable, really memorable, quotable as well. Cameron is hilarious. His fucking car, and they drive it off the garage, and his face. Oh my god. So good. Such a great film. I love that movie. Ferris Bueller's Day Off is great. If you haven't watched Ferris Bueller's Day Off, what are you doing? Watch Ferris Bueller's Day Off. It's a classic. I haven't talked about whether or not these films are going to be rising and falling or not, but like I said in past segments in my episodes when I talk about my top 100, once you get like after 50 or close to 50, these positions usually don't change, and they really haven't changed through the years. I made this list like 5 years ago, and I'm pretty sure from 50 down, especially from like 30 down, they really haven't changed at all. So definitely, definitely classics here. And honestly, they're probably not going to be moving too much. But yeah, that's my top 100, guys, for this episode. That's 50 through 46. We still got like 45 to go. But, I'm looking forward to revealing more of them to you. So yeah, with that, guys, I'm gonna talk about a couple other random updates. Again, sort of like just about video game updates. Really, Cyberpunk 2077 got delayed again another month. It's coming out in November now. I think it's November 22nd or some bullshit. I don't know. It's kind of annoying. I mean, they're releasing gameplay footage, and I think some people got to test like 5 hours of the game, like the first 5 hours of the game, and people are loving it. I think all the hype is pretty much real that they're saying. So it just really, I'm really excited for it, and I just want to fucking play your goddamn fucking game, CD Projekt Red. I just want to play your goddamn fucking game. Just release it. Oh, I just want to play your game. But anyway, they're probably waiting for the new consoles to release, and maybe like they had deals with Microsoft and Sony to maybe like bundle Cyberpunk 2077 with the newer consoles. Maybe. I mean, I know you can still buy it on a previous generation, and you don't have to buy it again for the next generation, which I think is really cool of CD Projekt Red to do that. They don't have to do that, so I think it's really cool that they are doing that. So, yeah, I don't know. They might be waiting for the new consoles to release and have like bundle it with that. But I don't know if they just need more time. Man, like sooner or later you have to release your fucking game. Like, come on. But anyway, I'll wait. I'm gonna keep waiting because it was my most anticipated game before this year, during this year, and even after all these delays. I mean, I'm still going to be playing it. Still super fucking excited about it. Also, another update, I started playing The Last of Us Part 2. So I've played around 4 hours of it. Good, I mean, not really good news, but like sort of good news. The part that was spoiled for me has already happened. It happens like in the first 2 hours of the game. It's like right at the beginning. And this film is I say film because it pretty much is a film, but this game is like pretty much like 25 hours long, like 15 to 20 hours long. So I have a long way to go, so hopefully nothing else has been spoiled. I don't really think anything else has really been spoiled for me, so just that moment. And it's good. I'm enjoying it. I think the gameplay, again, the gameplay is pretty much straightforward from the first one. It's the same. Crafting and upgrading is a little bit easier. The game looks amazing. Like, it looks phenomenally good. Like, the graphics aren't insane. It looks so good. But, I mean, again, yeah, the story, the characters. I care about Ellie, and that's pretty much it. Again, some shit happens at the beginning, and like whether or not that works for you is, again, it was spoiled for me. So I'm still pissed off that it was spoiled for me, because I feel like my opinion would be so much different than it is now, because I knew what was coming. But damn, man, you know what? Like, whoever leaked that footage and those spoilers, like, honestly, fuck you. Like, just fuck you. You took that experience away from me, and I'm never gonna get it back. I'm never getting that back. That's the problem with spoilers. You steal something from someone, and people don't really realize that, especially with a game that I really care about, with characters that I really give a shit about. And you just took that away from me, and now it's just kind of like... I mean, hopefully my next episode, I'll be talking about The Last of Us Part 2, and I'll review it for you. I'm probably not going to dedicate an entire episode to it, but maybe most of the episode to it. We'll see. Hopefully by the next time I come out with an episode, maybe another 2 weeks probably, or 3, I'll have it done. I will have played all of it and finished it, and can come back and give you a fully informed opinion on it. But yeah. With that, guys, that's it for the episode. This is episode, I don't fucking know. I'm pretty sure it's episode 24. I have episode 23 on my notes, but I think last episode was episode 23. I think this is episode 24. But anyway, it's pretty much over an hour now. But yeah, I appreciate all you guys tuning in, and to please keep tuning in. I love doing this. I know my episodes are getting a lot more sporadic, but I work a full-time job, and sometimes I work up to 50 hours a week, sometimes more. So bear with me. I'm gonna keep doing this. I'm never gonna stop doing this. But yeah, so I enjoy doing this, and I really appreciate you guys listening and checking me out, and I would appreciate you spreading the word about me too. It would be a huge help, getting more people to tune in and, watch and subscribe to my podcast. It would be a huge help, and I would really appreciate it. And I love all you guys, and don't be afraid to comment on my videos on YouTube as well. If you're watching, don't be afraid to comment. I would really, I would respond to you, and I would love to have a dialogue about, stuff. Like, if you disagree with me, or if you agree with me on some certain things, I would heavily appreciate it. But with that, guys, man, woo! If you're just listening, I just pretty much just topped off the rest of my glass. Oh, that burns good. But yeah, with that, guys, that's the episode, and I'll see you guys on the next episode of Nerd Out Sanctuary. Bye, guys. Take care.